Hiya, welcome to Darren in the studio. Thanks for swinging by. Thanks for tuning in for another video here in the studio. Hope you're all well. Thanks again for all your subscriptions, comments, views, likes, subscribes, all that kind of stuff. If you haven't liked and subscribed up to now, then please do so. And of course, if you see anything in this video that you're really into or that you're not into, let me know about it in the comments below. I've been sort of put onto a bit of a theme, if you like, on another YouTube channel, and I'm really excited about this particular video because it's a connection. Albums, CDs, all sorts of things in your collection that you have a personal connection to. You'll get the idea as we go along. As I go through these albums, more or less it's all vinyl, but there's a few CDs in here as well. So let's start at the beginning. I've put everything in alphabetical order, and we're going to start with this album. This is called From the North. It's of Gary and Vera Aspie. Now, Gary and Vera are a Lancashire folk duo, and the reason I've chosen this album is this background here is where I'm from, sort of Lee, Tilsley, Bolton sort of area, and these, where they're standing, are going to be the old slag heaps of the mining area. Not actually sure where this particular photograph was taken, but it's certainly in amongst the area where I was sort of born and grew up, if you've noticed my accent. And what's really great about this is there's a phone number on the back. Now, this number will be defunct now, so don't try ringing it. But this number on the back there's a little sticker, and it says Atherton 6342. Gary and Vera Aspie, telephone Atherton 6342, and it's a sticker that they've put on there. This album was probably originally sold at one of their shows. It's on the Topic label, 1975, I think, something like that. And the reason I highlight this number here on the back is it's virtually identical to what was originally my childhood telephone number back in the day. So these guys probably lived obviously from Atherton somewhere, and that's where I'm from, Tilsley, Atherton way. Next up, Johnny Cash. One of Johnny Cash's albums. The reason I've chosen this as a connection is this is John Carter Cash, Johnny's son, and I met Johnny's son when I went to America a good sort of 10 years ago now, and got a chance to meet John Carter Cash and have a chat with him, have a photograph with him, and met him in Nashville, Tennessee. Really nice bloke. I was wearing one of his dad's t-shirts at the time, and he really wanted to swap his t-shirt for mine, but I refused because mine was better than his. Next up, I've chosen this album, and you'll see this a million times. Alice Cooper fans will know this particular recording. This is the Toronto Rock and Roll Revival. This is a 1982 issue of it. I think this was probably one of the very first releases of this concert. The reason I've chosen this concert is because this was recorded September the 13th, 1969, which was the very day I was born. This features a couple of tracks, Ain't That Just Like a Woman and Going to the River, which aren't Alice Cooper at all. There were a guy called Ronnie Hawkins. When they chose the tape to record the Alice Cooper Group's performance at the Toronto Rock and Roll Revival, there was already a couple of songs on there, so they just skipped to the end of the songs and then recorded the Alice Cooper Group. And when it came to releasing these many years later, decades later, the people releasing them, because they really didn't care about the Alice Cooper Group and what was on that tape, released those original two songs that weren't the Alice Cooper Group, and you can often find them on here. Next up, I was at this show with my brother Sean. Alice Cooper, this is the House of Fire 12-inch single EP, and it's also got Spark in the Dark live. It's also got Poison live and Under My Wheels live. The Under My Wheels is from Westwood One Cincinnati Gardens, but the Spark in the Dark and Poison recorded live at the NEC December 1989, as was Spark in the Dark, and I was at that very show. And here is the very show itself. This is Alice Cooper's DVD. This is a DVD, not a CD. This is Alice Cooper's Trash is the World, recorded live at the NEC 1989, Birmingham NEC, UK, and I was there. Here's another show where I was at. This is Alice Cooper's Brutal Planet DVD, recorded in London at Hammersmith, I think this was. Yeah. Recorded at the Labatt's Apollo, Hammersmith, July 19th, 2000. I was there with my brother Sean. Another connection. Here's a school connection for you. I was at school with this guy's son. This is a band called Espionage, who were an 80s British pop synth band. Had some success. This is produced by Roy Thomas Baker, who produced a lot of Queen stuff, Alice Cooper stuff. Yeah, David Goodwin is the guy that I went to school with, and his dad was the bass player of Espionage. Here's a lovely little connection for you going back to my childhood. This band is called the Halton Weavers. I love the Halton Weavers. This is an album called Gone Are the Days, and there's a song on here called Coming to Wakes. There it is. And it says, referring to the old Lancashire tradition of the local wakes at holiday time, the Lancashire lad and lass referred to in this particular song are two old mobile generators which have been used to provide power and light to the giant fairgrounds long associated with Tyldesley, which is my hometown, a small town near Manchester locally known as Bongs from its original title of Tyldesley by the Banks. And on that song, Coming to Wakes, it mentions Off Lane. Not Off Lane. What road is it? I forget what it's called now. It mentions a road anyway, which is by the park, which we used to sort of frequent coming from school. Astley Road. Astley Road, I think the road I'm talking about is. You'll have to listen to the song anyway. Check out, go online and check out the Halton Weavers Are Coming to Wakes. Here's another connection regarding the Halton Weavers. This is an album called Up Your Way. This area where the guys are here, this photo shoot, was done at Wigan Pier. Do you see, just here? Now, Wigan Pier is a place where my mum used to work. She used to work for what they used to call Wigan Metro, and she was part of the bar staff that used to do various venues around Wigan, and she used to work regularly there at Wigan Pier, where they used to have bands on and soul nights and sort of all country nights, all sorts of things really. Little place where my mum worked. Talking of my mother, this has got a real connection with us as kids and my mum. This is another Halton Weavers album. This is Halton Weavers in concert. This album was recorded, it says on here, recorded between the 19th and the 20th of April at Formby Hall, Atherton, Oldham Civic Hall, Blighty's Club, Farnworth, Ashton Hall, Lancaster, Mullards, Blackburn, Norbeck Castle Hotel, Blackpool, and the Clarendon Recreation Centre, Salford. The first one on here, Formby Hall, Atherton, which is no longer there, they pulled it down a few years ago, is another place where my mum used to work. And regularly when they played the Formby Hall, Mum used to take these guys home because they were always a little bit worse for wear. The Halton Weavers. Here's a connection to a gig This is my very first Kiss concert that I ever went to. Bingley Hall, Stafford. This is a bootleg album. This was on their Lick It Up World Tour. Recorded 22nd of October 1983, Bingley Hall, Stafford, Kiss. There's the original ticket. My very first Kiss concert. I was there. Talking of being there, but not being there. This is Kiss Rocks Vegas. The reason I've chosen this as a connection, I was there on the opening night when they started their residential stint at the Hard Rock Hotel casino venue that they have there called The Joint. I was in Las Vegas that very night when they opened this this stint at that hotel casino, but sadly I didn't go to the show. I could have done, but the person I was with at the time, the girl I was with at the time, didn't want to go. She'd booked a table at the revolving restaurant in Las Vegas, and she preferred to go there. So I missed out on going here. That's a bad memory, right? I'm no longer with that girl. Something I did go to, where it comes to Kiss, is Donington. This is the Off the Soundboard album. Get it out of the cover. I think this is the third or fourth of the Off the Soundboard releases. It's the third one. This is Donington. This is the show they played, the first show of the Alive Worldwide Reunion Tour back in 1996. Donington, I was there. That's the connection. Another show which I was at, and another Kiss bootleg, the Sonic Boom Over Europe Tour, NEC. This is coming up for an anniversary of 12 years ago, 2010, May the 5th. I think it's May the 5th, yeah. Another bootleg, double album. Another one that I was at is this one, Birmingham Barclaycard Arena. Another one in May, part of the Kiss World 2017 tour. Another bootleg. Something which, when I was in America, I got a chance to go to numerous museums and so on, and we'll talk about those a little bit more in a bit. But I've chosen this album as a connection. This is the Long Riders. This is my favourite album of all time. And the connection with this is, there's a song on here, track number 3, side 1, called WDIA. Now, WDIA was a radio station in sort of like the 40s and 50s in America, which was run and predominantly played black music. And I can say that because it's an historical thing. And a lot of big names worked on WDIA, a lot of famous black musicians and black radio presenters, and a lot of great music, of course, came from that period. And when I was in America, I got a chance to visit a museum which had the original equipment, studio equipment from WDIA, because of course it doesn't exist anymore. Long Riders' State of Our Union, featuring the song WDIA. Next up, Elvis. Here's Memories of Elvis. This is 1978, I think, 79. Yeah, 1979 on the RCA, a couple of years after Elvis died. This is Graceland, of course. This is his father, Vernon, and of course the Colonel. And I've stood just there, or there, by one of these lions. I have a photograph of it. My connection to Graceland stood right at the doorstep. Also, been inside Graceland, so I chose this album, Elvis Way Down in the Jungle Room. This has all Elvis's recordings done, or some of the recordings done at Graceland. Been in Graceland, what a fantastic place that is. If you ever get a chance to get over there, do visit Graceland. Of course, Graceland is now a historical museum in America, not something that we tend to do here in the UK, which is unfortunate. You know, like the original Cavern Club was filled in with concrete. You know, places like the Charlotte in Leicester is now a supermarket. The Hacienda, famous nightclub and music venue in Manchester, is now flat. You know where I'm going with this. Talking of being in America, I've chosen this album. This is Gentleman Jim Reeves. This features a nice little picture of Jim on the back here, recording his work at RCA Studios, Nashville, Tennessee. And I've stood exactly where he used to stand. He had a particular place just by the back of the studio, away from the musicians, where he used to stand by the fire exit. And I've stood exactly where Jim is standing there. That's my connection. And here's another photograph of Jim at that very same microphone. Another American connection, and also another Jim Reeves connection. Whilst in America, I went to the Grand Ole Opry, original home of the Grand Ole Opry, being the Ryman Auditorium. This is an album recorded at the Ryman Auditorium. Jim Reeves live at the Grand Ole Opry. Again, if you ever get a chance to go to America and go to these fabulous music places, venues, historic places in America, then do so. Even if you're not into country music, or if you're not into, you know, Elvis or anything like that, to go to these places like the RCA Studios and things like that. I've also been to the Sun Studios, which is great. I've got a CD up here of the Sun Studios. I've just not chosen it. But if you get a chance to go to these historic places, then do so, because they have a real connection with music. And of course, if it weren't for that kind of music, the country music, the stuff like Elvis and things like that, we wouldn't have a lot of the music that we have today. The last one that I've chosen for you is a personal one. This is Rothschild. This is their 1987 album, 1988 album, The Biz Sucks, But We Don't Care. The reason I've chosen this is because this particular gentleman here, this is Rocky Shades, Rob Barkley, and me and my partner Marina went to Rob's wedding just over a year ago now. And this particular guy here, this is Lance Rocket. Lance was one of my gigs a couple of months ago, which is great. So there's another connection for you. Rothschild. Thanks for swinging by. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Maybe do your own video of connections of things that you have in your music collection. I hope you found these connections, first of all, viable. And I hope you found them interesting as well. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Watch the other videos as well. That'd be great. And leave all your views and your comments in the bottom. And we'll see you soon for another video. Thanks for swinging by. Ta-da.